Welcome to Nickanory on the Hoof. Now today I thought I'd do a thing about Tankhearse because it's pretty topical. It's just done a funeral for my old mate Dave, who Tanknut Dave, you must have heard of him. He was madly obsessed by tanks, and probably all his life I think, but it was very interesting, his eulogy. I've only known him in the kind of the tank world, but apparently he was thinking of being a padre at one time in his life. And that doesn't surprise me because he was a very kind person.
And we're off. It's nice to have a long stretch where you can just sort of watch your vehicle go backwards and forwards. So there's always quite a bit of clunking with these old girls. Yeah, I think we're okay.
I don't like power washers. They strip all the paint off and then you have to go and repaint the damn thing. But getting in there with a sponge is tricky. But gives you time to reflect on old Dave. He was a lot of fun. And sadly, sometimes he didn't know he was the centre of the fun. But you know what? We miss him a lot. He was a good old boy. A straight old boy.
About that time, the lorry has arrived for the old girl. Tom on the job. Lovely water. I hope it's water anyway. It smells like it.
Not looking too shabby. All I've got to do now is take 2 buckets with me and a few cans of water, and then when we get to the Undertakers, because let's be honest, it'll be filthy again by then, it's having a bit of a wee look. It's having a little wee, and then we'll give it a last minute polish just before.
Very early, and today we are mostly going for a big fry up beforehand.
It is Dave's funeral, and there is a God. We've just found up-front parking in front of a real greasy spoon cafe that's got a bit of gloss about it. And also we have some vehicles to look at on the way back. I'm not saying what sort.
Could be
because
interesting.
We could have people watch this before I bought them. But they are special, exclusive, wonderful. We need one each, and luckily there is 2 identical vehicles for racing.
Yeah.
Very desirable for Ukraine, very desirable for us. Might want to keep them, might we?
Something a bit different. Yeah.
Something a bit different. Well, it's all a bit posh for us. Cafe Verditzer. Basically, we're after a big greasy spoon fried breakfast, and this is the one in this town. We've checked the pictures, and we were expecting a big fat bloke with a cigarette in his mouth saying, "What do you want, governor?" Instead of that, we've had a choice of sourdough, brown or white bread, which has fucked us up completely. I mean, well, we just want like in a bucket really, with a cup of tea. Well, this is all a bit complicated. You got like this kind of pot, and then this like I was expecting a great big mug with a crack in it and a hair floating on the top. It's no good. Yeah, that's it. Drink out the spout might be a bit hot. We're not used to such luxury. Lucky bastard. All we need now is brown sauce. We haven't finished the tea yet, and we're away. And then Ashley says the toilets are magnificent. Fabulous. I love that word, fabulous. Fabulous. Fabulous.
What do you think of the toilets?
Incredible. Makes your knob look shabby. Well, we've met the undertaker, Darren. Very nice guy, very well planned. Everything looks like it's going well. It's not a good fashion move, that, mate. Well, he made it. No one kind of knew who was doing the tank job.
We are on the high street. It's where everything happens. I think they like it. Indicators going as well. It's a miracle. And it also looks like everything that was going to leak out is pretty much all leaked out on the trailer. Happy days. All about the Twinkie beacon. We've gained a new employee. He said he's more than happy to come with us to every funeral we do now. He's cleaning the glass from the inside. Yeah. Put a bit of grease in the tracks. Jolly good. Jolly good. Hopefully Dave would like it. I like to think he would. And this is when it all starts to get hard, especially when you know the guy or it's a kiddie or something like that. It all looks easy, and then suddenly it gets really, really hard. And so Dave's funeral begins. Well, here we go. This is where it just gets harder. Chief, you're on your honour. Not now. Not now. We don't want the rustly bag out. Behave yourself, okay? Sit, stay, lay down. No chance of any of that. Dave's dog is not going to do it as he's told. That is a beautiful church on a beautiful day. I just wish I was here to do brass rubbings rather than burying a mate.
Someone who parks badly like that, and that is stopping me getting by. Now I can wait 5 hours, or I can try and go up the curb there, go along on the pavement and come down on one over there. But why do you always get someone who doesn't give a damn and dumps it? That's not parked, that's abandoned. It's called bedlam, absolute bedlam. But we're parked up and we're about ready to go. What can I say about Lodge? Totally professional, wonderful people to follow, curved wide on all the bends and overtaking cars that were parked, stopped the traffic well, thoughtful for the man following in a tank. It's not a tank! Trust me, the people who are looking in their rear mirror today, there's a bloody tank! It's bedlam! It's bedlam! It's not a bedlam! It really went very well, and it was nice to see lots of people turn up. I saw Barry Neville, who was an instructor that had been up here a lot and also in other areas with him. That was very good. And Andy Baker turned up, and Matty, one of my instructors, turned up, which was very nice. Obviously me and Ashley turned up, and who else was there? And Humvee King, he turned up, good old boy. Tom Dooley, looking a little large. I think he was wintered quite well. But it was a wonderful service, and they had a singer from Phantom of the Opera, did Over the Rainbow in the middle of it, a few hymns, very interesting padre, who was kind of covered in medals, so he'd been a sort of a fighting padre, and not just a padre, but he'd been a fighting padre, which brings me to an interesting story, which I shall come back to later on in a moment. But yeah, we'll be very, very sad without Dave. I still can't believe he's not about. I'm expecting him to ring me any time and tell me what's wrong with my website and how he can fix it. But yeah, it's a horrible, horrible thing. I don't know what we can do with the website now. It's just been kind of chugging along, but you do need someone to manage it, and you really want someone who knows a lot about tanks. So yes, the Tankhearse, I call it Tankhearse. I mean, am I going to be hounded. It's not a tank. The hearse. The hearse on tracks with a small turret. It did really well. It chugged along nicely. It didn't miss a beat. Ashley was riding shotgun, any tight bits, and we did get some tight bits. There's some people who park very... You've always got someone who parks badly like that, and that is stopping me getting by. And I did have to go along the pavement, but I went up on an uppie and down on a downy, so all in all, we got away with that quite nicely. I ought to go and I might do a walk round on Tankhearse, because a lot of people are wondering how it was built. Some bits aren't original, they're kind of artistic license, and I think you need a bit of artistic license on a vehicle like this, because it's not what it should be, it's what people envisage it to be, and you need it to be a little bit dramatic sometimes. So I'll show you around. Start these steps. This is my own design, and that's so as I can go up and down. And when we're doing a funeral, I do like to ask if there's anyone, when we get nearer to the church or the graveyard or the crematorium, I ask if there's any sort of young family who fancy jumping up on top of the tank and going in the cupola. Then Ashley might sit on the decking. I'm sure it's not legal, but I think 100 yards down the road to somehow put a smile on a young kid's face who's just lost an uncle or a father or something like that, it's worth taking the risk. I don't mean danger risk, I mean danger risk of the rozzers grabbing you by the short and curlies. Now, these smoke dischargers, these are off a Chieftain, obviously. I just think they look nice when they're bigger. It has got its driver's cupola in, just in case I have to button down and form an attack, some sort of ramming thing against terrorists. And it's got its periscopes in the cupola. Peak Engineer turret, that's called. And it's got the smoke discharges, which are rather cool. These are just for camouflage poles. They poke out and then you drag your camouflage net in over the top. This is your infrared lights, and it has got infrared on it. And we recently swapped the tracks. The tracks are off a very new vehicle. They're beautiful. And we recently swapped all the road wheels. We have the road wheels made, and the next one will be the top rollers. They ain't bad, but I might swap them because it'll just look beautiful. The paint, well, it's very hard to keep it clean, very hard. Down here on the business end, I've got this bit fancy handle. You can get a lot of vibration on a 432 when you're going up the road, and what you don't want is the vibration to make the handle start coming up and suddenly the door comes open, and the next thing, well, you know what the next thing is, don't you? Clompety clomp clomp. At least they're not going to sue you because they're already dead, but you've got to be a bit careful. Now, when the power's on and I take that big thing out there, that's a big heavy clunky bit, and then I lift this, there's a sensor in the door. And as I open the door, a red light comes on right in front of the driver. So I know if that door is not pushed all the way shut. And I mean, literally, handle's got to be all the way down. It's got to be totally locked. If it's not totally locked, then it will let me know. Now, I bought a Ford Cardinal off the Rocky Horror Show, and it had done about 20,000 miles, and they are 2.8 Granada engines. So what I did was took all the woodwork out of it, fitted it in here, and then we basically sold the Granada, and it went to a company that does racing Fords, because a 2.8 Granada engine is hard to get now, and a gearbox and your axles that have done 20,000 miles, careful miles. These were a little touch we put in a little while ago, these things here. Yeah, I thought they had a little bit of scroll there, a little bit of scroll. You never finish one of these, you're always adding little bits. I initially tiled all the back, and I spent weeks, well no, I spent hours non-stop to get it ready for an old mate of mine, Graham Collins, who had just died. And there was quite a lot of work doing all this. And I went to a place called Top Tiles. Never go to Top Tiles. They ruined my kitchen, and all these tiles, sadly, they're supposed to be for a bathroom. Well, they soak up water and then they blow. And I've had to have these mats made in kind of black astro, can I say black? Black astroturf. And they are really nice, and the flowers don't slide around on them. So in actual fact, it's been a really good upgrade. Up here are your interior lights, which I can put on. And I sometimes put the rear stop and tail light red covers on there if I'm doing some sort of Halloween event. I've got some spare ones of these. These are actually polycarbonate, they're not glass. These are the ones we have made in China that are bulletproof. And I put those in and there's a lovely red glow in the back. Do I like doing funerals? Well, crikey, there's a lot of responsibility, because if the thing breaks down, I mean, what do you do? What do you say? Oh, sorry, we won't get there. And we're not just talking about the hearse breaking down, we're talking about the service vehicle breaking down on the way there as well, or the lorry that's carrying the hearse to the area, that breaks down. You know, there's a lot of possibilities. And as of yet, we have never, ever had a breakdown. I once had a fuel filter come off in the back and fuel started running down the road, but we always carry a lot of tools and a lot of spares, and we fixed that in about, I reckon, about 7 minutes. And the widow looked at me looking all worried, and I put my arms around her and I said, there's nothing we can't fix. And this beautiful lady, she said, my husband would have been proud of you. And he was a reamy guy. And soon, sure enough, we pulled out the back, got hold of this filter and swapped it over. And basically, the threaded bit on the bottom had kind of worn loose, but we had all the spares with us. And we finished the funeral and everyone had a good laugh about it. I have got some nice pictures of it being built. It had been in a bush for, bloody hell, 10 years. And I went to see a mate of mine in hospital who was supposed to be very ill. And he was very ill. And he died that night. And I thought, crikey, funeral normally takes about 2 weeks. Could you build something like that from start to finish in 2 weeks? And I thought, well, I'm going to have a bloody good go. And I thought, if I don't have the glass in it, well, he's dead, he ain't going to say nothing. And obviously the exhaust is all different along there, and it's got an internal fuel tank instead of in the corners. And I ripped into it. And in fact, I started on it the night I came back from seeing him in hospital. I didn't finish till about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And I was surprised how far I got on with it. And then I rang up the glass company and gave them the measurements after I'd cut the sides out. And funny enough, while I was cutting the sides out with a 9-inch grinder, sparks going everywhere, some idiot had left a 4-inch maroon. And that's one of those great big firework exploding things you see in the sky at a big organised firework party, down the back of some boxes. And the bloody thing went off. And the impact took the roof out of the ceiling out of the office. And I was standing about 8 feet away from it. It took me off my feet while I was grinding with a 9-inch grinder flat out. And I didn't get a scratch. And that's when I probably realised that the project was going to go ahead. It was going to be successful, and I was going to be on time. And the glass company come back to me. I said, how quickly could you do it? And they said, well, we're quiet. We'll be up tomorrow. I thought, bloody hell. And then Jimbo, he come up and did all my wiring and my electrics. And we did everything, and it looked splendid. And we did this funeral for Graham Collins. And what was quite funny is after I dropped him off, I kind of let rip a bit in this, and I took it down a hill really fast. And guess what? No one had done the steering box, and it started to swerve off to the left, and I nearly had an accident. And I kind of let it cool down for a couple of minutes and then drove it gently back to where the low loader was. Yeah, we don't do that anymore. We always check all the oils, all the levels, everything. I guess it was because we were in a hurry and I was tired. At Dave's funeral, there was a lady vicar who was very, very good. And then there was the old guy, the proper padre vicar, like with all the medals. And I had a chat to him, and I told him a funny story, which I think he appreciated. When I had a guy called Crazy Camo up here, who was a strange character, good fun, lovely, lovely, lovely man. And a funny little guy with tattoos all over himself, one on his bum as well. I don't know how I know that. We did this day for about 5 or 6 Americans, and there was about 4 or 5 kids as well, and they were about 15. And they said to me, look, you know, as far as the car crash is concerned, it's nobody's birthday, we'd like you to run it as a competition. So I said, fair enough. And at the end, I hadn't kept scores, but we had a bit of a scrum down, and they'd driven Grodzilkas and 432s and probably a couple of other types of vehicles and done a bit of shooting. And we had a scrum down, and me and the lads decided that this young lad who was about 15, he was the best driver out of the young ones and beat most of the older ones, and we kind of reckoned that he should win the crush. So he did the crush and lots of clapping and everyone was happy. And then at the end, this guy comes over to me, he was about 50, 60, he comes over to me and he goes, "I'd like you to have one of these." And he gave us all this book, and I thought, oh, bloody hell, bloody hell. I've read probably 2 books in my life. It's not that I can't read, it's just that I can't be bothered. I would rather be building something, making something, shooting something, or, well, doing something. Anyway, I had a hot date that night, and I jumped in the bath, and this book was laying on the side. And on the front was a picture of a padre in camouflage with a dog collar on. And I was thinking, oh God, probably a bloody more. This is not for me. And on the back was a picture of a kind of fighting soldier running with dust behind him and all the, war. And I'm thinking, Anyway, I start reading the first page, and it only turned out, and bear in mind I own 2 of the Humvees off the film Black Hawk Down. Great film. Best film possibly, apart from Bad Santa 1, in the world. And I started reading it, and it turns out that guy, Hugh, I can't remember his surname, he was the driver of the lead Humvee that went in to grab survivors and dead bodies. Their motto is leave no man behind, even if you're dead. And that's what he did. He went back 3 times in 3 separate Humvees with 3 separate crews to grab as many injured as dead as he could and ship them out in Mogadishu, in the middle of that kind of village with bullets and missiles and everything and all that shit going everywhere. And everyone around him got shot and killed each time he went out. The Humvees were not serviceable to go back. He had to have another one each time. When he was picking another crew, grown men were bursting into tears because they knew they were not coming back in one piece. And he had an RPG coming in the driver's window, straight past the front of him and out the passenger window. Bullets everywhere, and he never got a scratch. And that's why he became a padre. Amazing. And I read that book from cover to cover. I redid me bathwater probably 4 times, and I never went on that hot date. And did I get oh dear. But I'll tell you what, a great book. I lost it, but if ever you're looking around Amazon or something like that, don't like to advertise anyone. It was called, I'm almost certain, Bulletproof Faith, and the writer was someone called Hugh. It wasn't a big book, it was about that big, and it was about that thick. It was a paperback, and that was the most amazing read I've ever had. And I've read 3 books. No, recommend it. Anyway, I think that just about sums it up. So, what can I say? Discount for smokers.